Alright, this video is for your last test that you're going to be taking this Friday. So all the formulas are written at the top of the review sheet because I had you turn in your note card already. You'll get your note card back the day of the test, and you'll be able to use any of the formulas or examples that you wrote on your note card. So the first four problems want me to plot and label each of these 4 points on the graph right here that they gave me. So when you plot points, you need to remember that the first number is your R and the second number is your theta. And when you're graphing a polar coordinate, you always start with the theta, and then you're going to go R circles towards the angle if it's positive, and you're going to go R circles away from the angle if it's negative. Alright, so let's go do 1 through 4. As you're graphing is usually how I label mine. So the first thing they want me to do is 3, 90 degrees. So I'm going to go find 90 degrees on my circle, which is at the top. And then I'm going to go 3 circles towards it from the center. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to label that point A, and that's done. Now I'm going to go do B. B says that I want to label 45 degrees first. So this right here is 30 degrees, sorry. This up here is 60 degrees, so the 45 would be right here in the middle, so I have to go draw that one in. So there's my 45 degrees, and I'm going to go 2 circles towards the 45. So 1, 2, and I labeled that B. Number 3, they wrote my theta in radians, but you work it the same way. I need to go find out where pi is. Pi is located right over here on the left. There's pi. And I'm going to go 3 circles, but this time not towards pi, but away from pi. So in the same line, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, away from pi, and I'm going to label that my C. Alright, so we're almost done. We have 1 more left. We need to go do D. D wants pi over 6, comma 2. 30 degrees is the same as pi over 6. And I'm going to go 2 circles towards pi over 6. So 1 and 2. And I'm going to label that D. Alright, so that's how it's going to feel on your test. They're going to give you some polar coordinates, and you're going to go pick the graph that best matches those polar coordinates. On 5 through 14, they want me to convert from polar to rectangular. If they want me to go to rectangular, I have to use the formulas x equals r times cosine theta, and your y is going to equal r times sine of theta. And the only thing you have to be careful of is as you're working these problems on your test, you need to make sure that if your theta says degree, that you're in degree mode. If your theta is a radian, that you're in radian mode. So I'm going to go look at all of these real quick and label them before I start. That's 150 degrees. That's 180 degrees, 110 degrees, 70 degrees, 90 degrees, and 130 degrees. So these 6 problems will all be in degree mode when I type them in my calculator. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of these with you, and then I'm going to pause the video and let you do some on your own so that you can check. So on number 5, to find the x coordinate, I'm going to take the r, which is 6, and multiply it by cosine of theta, which is 150 degrees. And I go to my calculator. I'm going to double check that my mode is in degree. It was not, so good thing I checked. And now I'm going to go type in 6 cosine 150 degrees. And I'm going to hit enter. So my x coordinate is negative 5.2. So my x coordinate is negative 5.2, comma. Now I'm going to go find my y coordinate. It's the exact same formula, except I'm going to change the word cosine to sine. Okay, I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to type it in again. 6 times sine of 150 degrees, and we get 3. So my y coordinate is 3. You're going to do the same thing for all 6 of these. I'm going to go ahead and do number 7. We're just going to work the same way. So on number 7, my r is 7.5, my theta is 110. So x equals 7.5 cosine of 110, and y is going to be 7.5 times sine of 110. Again, you go straight to your calculator. 7.5 cosine 110, and we get negative 2.5. I'm going to round that up to 7. So negative 2.57, comma. I'm going to do it again, but this time instead of cosine, I'm going to use sine. When we type that in our calculator, we get 7.0. That's going to round up to 5, 7.05. I'm going to do one more of these with you. I'm going to go do number 14 just because it's a big number, and sometimes y'all think you do it wrong because it's a big number. Okay, so on number 14, it says that my r is 400 and my theta is 130. So x equals 400 times cosine of 130, and y is going to equal 400 times sine of 130. Again, everything's still in degree mode. So just go type it in. 400 cosine of 130. And we get negative 257.12. Comma. Now I'm going to do my y value. 400 times sine of 130. And we get 306.42. Okay, and you're going to do that exact same thing for the remaining 3 problems. So pause the video, use your calculator, and go do 6, 12, and 13, and come back and check your answers. Okay, so if you did number 6, for number 6, we did 5 times cosine of 180. You type that in your calculator and you got negative 5. Y is equal to 5 times sine of 180. You type that in the calculator and you got 0. So that ordered pair was negative 5, 0. On number 12, when you typed that one in the calculator, it was x equals 4 times cosine of 70 degrees. And you ended up with 1.37, and then when you went and did y, 4 times sine of 70 degrees, you get 3.67. Okay. And the last one, we get x equals 2.5 times cosine of 90, and you get a 0, and the y is 2.5 times sine of 90, which is 2.5. Okay, so far we've learned how to graph polar coordinates, and we've learned how to change polar to rectangular. 8 through 11 is more practicing on graphing the rectangular coordinate, graphing the polar coordinates that we did above. So go ahead and pause the video, and then come back and check to see if you can do these on your own. Okay, so you're coming back to check now. The first thing you would do on number 8 is you'd find where 7 pi over 6 is, and 7 pi over 6 is located right here. And because it's a positive 3, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 towards it, and I'm going to label that A. Number 9, I'm going to go find 135 degrees. Well, I know this up here is 90. I know this is 180. And I know right here in the middle, they did not draw it, but right here in the middle is my 135 degrees. It says negative 2, so instead of going 2 towards it, I'm going to go 2 away from it. So that would be this direction. I'm going to go 1, 2. Number 10 wants me to first go to negative pi. Well, over here is positive pi, so negative pi would be on this side. Here's negative pi. And they want me to go 2 away from negative pi. So 1, 2. And I label that C. And the last one we're going to do is negative pi over 2. Positive pi over 2 is up top. So negative pi over 2 would be at the bottom. And they want me to go 3 away from negative pi over 2. So I'm going to go the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to label that point D. All right, so hopefully you've gotten a lot better at your graphing and you did fine converting from polar to rectangular. All right, so on 12 through 14, we're going to use this picture right here to answer some true-false questions. So number 12 wants to know, if I add A plus B, does it equal F? So A plus B, head to tail. I'm going to go draw my resultant. If I were to draw where it starts to where it ends, it's right here, which does equal F, so that one's true. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to erase, and I'm going to do the next one. Okay, so the next one wants me to see if A plus B plus C, so if I take these right here, A plus B plus C, and I draw the resultant would be right here, G plus H. They're saying it should equal E. That's false. It should equal H plus G. Let's go do 14. I'm going to erase again. Remember, it's just head to tail. On 14, I'm going to go add C plus H. And I'm going to connect those two. Yes, they connect at K, so that one's true. Okay. On 15 and 16, they want me to find the position vector. So we wrote these formulas on our card yesterday. So to find the position vector, your formula is x2 minus x1, comma, y2 minus y1. And then after you get your answer, you're going to go rewrite it as AI plus the B and the J. So I'll do 15 with you, and you can pause the video and you can go do 16 and see if you can get it right. So this is my x1, y1. This is my x2, y2. We're just going to plug into the formula. So we're going to take x2 minus x1, comma, y2 minus y1. Negative 4 minus 6 is going to give me negative 10. Comma, negative 1 minus 6 gives me negative 7. And then I'm going to go rewrite this using my I, J notation. So negative 10I minus 7J. There we go. All right, go pause the video, go try 16, exact same steps, and see if you can get the right answer. All right, so hopefully you're checking back. So again, I'm going to use the same steps. I'm going to do 5 minus 3. x2 minus x1, comma, 6 minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract. 5 take away 3 is 2. 6 take away 2 is 4. So it's 2I plus 4J. And there you go. On 17, 18, and 19, it says to convert from rectangular to polar. So this time, I'm going to use the formulas for R and theta. R says, every time I'm going to try to find R, I'm going to use the formula that says R equals the square root of x squared plus y squared. So 3 squared plus 0 squared. So R equals 3 squared is 9. 0 squared is 0, 9 plus 0 is 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. My R is 3. Now I'm going to go find my theta. The theta formula was tangent theta is equal to y divided by x. Now when you do this one, it requires that you use your calculator, and you're going to do second tangent 0 divided by 3. And it tells me my answer is 0 degrees. Now I have to make sure that this answer makes sense. In order to do that, you have to go look at this ordered pair, 3, 0. 3, 0 would be right here on the x-axis. And on the x-axis, yes, it does equal 0 degrees. So your answer is 3, 0 degrees. Okay, we're going to do 18 the same way. First thing we're going to do is we're going to find our R. R is equal to the square root of x squared plus y squared. Okay, so the square root of x squared plus, Remember, we talked about this a lot in class. If you don't put this negative in parentheses and square on the outside, you will not get the right answer. So my R is going to be 104.4. So your R is going to be 104.4. And now I'm going to go find my theta. Again, it's the same formula. Tangent of theta equals the y divided by the x. We're going to go to our calculator. Second tan, negative 30 divided by 100. And we get negative 16.7. So theta equals negative 16.7. All right, so now let's go think about what this point means. If I were to go graph the point 100, 30, I'd go 100 to the right and 30 below, which would put me in quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, I should have an answer between 270 degrees and 360 degrees. The answer I have is negative 16.7. So I can also make this a positive answer by saying 360 minus 16.7. And you get 343.3, which is between 270 and 360. So we're going to put both answers down for theta because Ms. Puckett could put either on the test. So she can put negative 16.7, which would be in quadrant 4, or she could put 343.3, which is also in quadrant 4. These are both correct answers. They're equivalent. All right, let's go do one more. Why don't you pause the video and try 19, and then come back to see if your answers are right. Okay, so R is going to equal the square root of negative 10 squared plus negative 10 squared. Again, we just type that part in our calculator. The square root of negative 10 squared plus negative 10 squared. Look, make sure that you have your negatives in parentheses and your squareds are on the outside. Okay, when I do that, we find out that R is 14.14. Now we're going to go find our theta. So tangent of theta equals negative 10 over negative 10. So second tan, I'm going to type in negative 10 divided by negative 10. When I do that, I get 45 degrees. Okay, let's go see if that answer makes sense. If I were to graph the point negative 10, it would be in quadrant 3. It's 45 degrees in quadrant 3. No, it's not. In quadrant 3, I'm between 180 and 270 degrees. But I do know that I'm 45 degrees from the x line. If this is 180 and I'm 45 this direction, I just go take 180 and I add 45 to it. Now I'm in quadrant 3, which is 225 degrees. Okay. On 20, 21, 22, and 23, we're going to either go add, subtract, multiply, or find the magnitude, whatever they seem to ask me for. So on number 20, they're asking me to add vector u and v. When you add vectors, you add the i's with the i's. So 3i plus 2i is going to give me 5i. And I'm going to add the j with the j. So negative 5 and positive 7 is going to give me positive 2. And you're done. On number 21, they asked me to subtract the u minus v. This is the problem that if you're going to mess up, that you usually mess up on. You have to be careful of your minus negatives. Minus a negative always changes to a positive. So I've got negative 2i minus 5i. Negative 2 minus 5 is a negative 7. And then I've got a minus 4 minus 7. So negative 4 minus 7 is a negative 11. Okay. On number 22, they want me to take vector w and multiply it by 2. So all I have to do is take everything in w and say times 2. So 5 times 2 is 10i. 2 times 6, is 12. And don't forget to put that J on there. All right, 23, they asked me to find, and they use this symbol. The symbol right here means magnitude. And on your formula card yesterday, we wrote down a squared plus b squared, and then you take the square root. So this is your a, and this is your b. I'm going to plug into the formula 5 squared plus 6 squared. That equals 25 plus 36. That equals the square root of 41 and the square root of, not 41, 61. And the square root of 61 is approximately 7.81. Okay, so this is my approximate, my rounded answer, and this is my exact answer. So the magnitude of W is the square root of 61, which is approximately 6.81. On 24 and 25, they asked me to find the dot product. Your formula for dot product was A1 times A2 plus B1 times B2. So you multiply the A's, you multiply the B's, and then you add them together. So on 24, my A right here is 1, and the A over here is 1. So 1 times 1 plus your B for the first vector is -1, for the second vector is +1. Remember, your A's are in front of your I's, and your B's are in front of your J's. So 1 times 1 is 1, -1 times 1 is -1, -1 plus -1 is 0. Your first dot product is 0. Go ahead and pause the video, go try number 27, and then check back. All right, on 27, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to write down my two A's, so 2 times 1. My A here is 2, my A here is 1, plus my B is 2, and my other B is 2. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 plus 4 is 6. There we go. All right, on 26 and 27, they want me to find the angle between. This formula says that you're going to take cosine theta of your whatever your two vectors are, and you're going to find your dot product, and then you're going to take the magnitude of the first one and multiply it by the magnitude of the second one. These problems require that you probably have a little bit of scratch paper. I'll use a sticky note for my scratch paper. Okay, so for each of these problems, I have to go find the dot product, the magnitude of V, and the magnitude of W. Once I have those, I can plug them in. So I'm going to go find my dot product first. So I'm going to take my two A's, 2 times 1, plus my two B's, 2 times 2. And I'm going to type that in my calculator to save me a little time. So parentheses 2 times 1, which is 2, plus parentheses 2 times 2, which is 4. So when I add them together, I get 6. So my dot product is 6, and that number is going to go on the top for my formula. So cosine theta equals, on the top I have a 6. Okay, now I'm going to go find the magnitude of V. Remember, to find the magnitude, be the square root of A squared plus B squared. We're using this formula right there. So my A here is 2, so 2 squared plus my B is also 2, 2 squared, which gives me 4 plus 4, which gives me the square root of 8. So the magnitude of V is 8. Now I just have to go find the magnitude of W. I'm going to do the exact same steps, but I'm going to do it for my second vector. So the magnitude of W, the square root of A squared is 1 squared, B squared would be 2 squared, 1 plus 4 equals square root of 5. Okay, once you have all that typed in, you're going to go to your calculator. The only thing that y'all seem to have trouble with is remembering that when you type it in, you got to put that bottom part in parentheses or you won't get the right answer. So because you're trying to find an angle, you're going to go second cosine, 6 divided by, now I have to go put this parenthesis right here. I'm going to open it up and do square root of 8 arrow out, times the square root of 5, arrow out, and then you're going to close parentheses twice. And we find out that my angle between is 18.43 degrees. So the answer for 26 is 18.43 degrees. All right, so what you need to do is you need to go try 27. So pause the video, go find your dot product, your magnitude of V, your magnitude of W, then go plug it into this formula using your calculator. All right, so go pause it and see if you can do that, and then come back and check. All right, so on 27, hopefully you've already tried it. So we're going to do the dot product first. So V times W. So I'm going to take both my A's. So 6 times 9 plus, I'm going to take both my B's, negative 5 times 2. I'm going to go type those in my calculator. So parentheses, 6 times 9 plus negative 5 times 2. And we're going to find out that our dot product is 44. Okay. Now we're going to go find the magnitude of V. Okay. So I'm going to do 6 squared plus negative 5 squared. And that's going to give me 36 plus 25. And 36 plus 25 is going to be the square root of 61. Okay, so that's that one. Now we're going to go find the magnitude of W. So the square root of 9 squared plus 2 squared equals 81 plus 4 equals the square root of 85. Alright, so we're going to go cosine theta equals, we're going to put the dot product answer on top. So we have 44 over the magnitude of V times the magnitude of W. We're going to go to our calculator. Okay, now don't forget, again, the trick here is remembering the bottom needs to go in parentheses when you type it in. So second cosine, 44 divided by parentheses, the square root of 61, arrow out, times the square root of 85, arrow out, close them twice, and we get 52.33. 52.33. Okay, now the bottom part of the review sheet is talking about some vocabulary words, and they're asking you about parallel, orthogonal, or neither. You will know two lines are parallel if they have the same slope. They're going to be orthogonal if you switch the signs and you flip the fraction. So we said switch and flip. And if neither one of these happen, then we're going to say it's neither. So what they're not going to tell you to do on the test that you have to know how to do is in order to answer any of these, you have to know how to find slope. And the slope is going to be the B divided by the A. All right, so for vector V, the B is 2, the A is 2, so the slope is 1, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. For vector W, the B is 2, the A is 1, so the slope is 2. These two numbers are not the same, so it's not parallel. I did not switch the signs. I did not flip the fraction, so it's not orthogonal. So we're going to say that this one is a neither. Okay, let's go look at 29. I'm going to start off the same way. I'm going to put the B over the A. I'm going to do the same thing over here. The B over the A, which reduces. These two slopes have the same sign. They're the exact same fraction, so they're parallel. All right, the last one that we have here, I've got negative 8 over negative 10, which reduces. to a positive 4 over 5. I've got 16 over 20, which also reduces to a positive 4 over 5. So again, we are parallel. Okay, so after doing the review yesterday in class, and after doing this review, you should be ready for your test. You can always go back to my website and watch any of the other videos where Ms. Puckett is also teaching some of the same stuff. I hope this helps you on your test. Good luck!